Alright everybody, Baron here, and welcome to Eve Valkyrie. So when I was in Germany for Gamescom, which by the way was awesome, it was quite an event, quite an adventure. It was my first Gamescom ever, a convention that I've been wanting to go to for 6 years, and I finally was able to go out. Now, while I was out there, CCCP, not CCCP, because that would be the former Soviet Union, right? Classic. Anyway, they're developers in Iceland, which is a country that I would like to visit one day. But regardless, they're sponsoring this video. Thank you so much. While I was out there, they got my hands on this. Look at that capital ship in the lower right-hand corner. Hopefully, I'll get some good views of it in a moment. But we are going to be seeing some space combat, which is, by the way, very challenging. And at first, like, I was playing this on game controllers, by the way, and I would have preferred mouse and keyboard. There were PC setups and console setups, and some of the people got to play on the PC. There was also VR. In fact, this game is originally made for virtual reality, and now they're opening it up to basically what they call 2D. You know what I mean? So, a flat screen. Now, you're going to be able to interplay between PC and console, I believe, and VR and non-VR, which is pretty cool, so it should increase the player base by quite a bit. But basically what's happening right here is we're trying to capture these drones in such a way so that we can either, if we take them, we're able to attack their capital ship, and if we do not, they get to attack ours. Now, the enemy team has an ace fighter over there by the name of Active Bunny Fufu. You son of a gun, you are so good at this game. He was lighting us up left and right. It's actually kind of funny because the rest of his team, well, let's just say they weren't very good. But he was so amazing. He kept his team in the game and fighting the whole way through, and he was more than a worthy opponent for the rest of us, especially myself, not being quite familiar with the game or being familiar. I love this launch sequence, but you can see in the left-hand corner what the capital ship that we're protecting looks like. And look at this little warp gate. Now, be careful about entering a warp gate through an asteroid field. And that's the enemy capital ship, but since we never captured those 3 points, basically, it's kind of a capture the flag, but where after you do it, like I said earlier, you get to attack that ship. Now, one of my abilities on this ship was to use this warp drive, which was a little baby jump. But you can see the warp gate, you can see the capital ship right there. It's pretty cool. It's very, very beautiful game. And space combat is obviously different than aerial combat like you'd see in War Thunder, because, you know, there's no gravity necessarily. There's no like planetary gravity. Well, that's not even true. It depends where you are in space, right? Anyway, it's space. So there's no real friction. I guess that is, like, real quick, guys, you're gonna have to throw me a bone because get this, you might not believe it, I've never been to space. What do you think about that? But anyway, Eve Valkyrie, CCP. Now Eve makes what, Eve Online, and they're all about those capital ships. And I remember asking some of the developers that we were able to talk to, some of the people that worked with CCP. I was like, hey, I gotta be honest. You know, riddle me this, Batman. If you're working on a Starfighter combat game, and you have this older capital ship game, and look at that right there. That is a shield around a capital ship. I was like, do you think you'll ever like combine those two ideas into a game in the future? Look at that. It's a physical shield as opposed to, well, I guess that's kind of how the ones in Star Wars work as well, right? It's you never really get that level of detail in a Star Wars film of like of a starfighter, what it's like to kind of bounce off of the shield of a capital ship as opposed to like a space station or something, which we have seen. But man, it's a very, very beautiful game. Someone is literally just tearing me up, and I'm trying to find them. One of the things that I found to be kind of difficult was when somebody was on your 6 o'clock, how to become aware of, you know, basically evasive maneuvers. And that's my friend, that's my capital ship shooting, so you can see that the guy's right behind me. And basically, it was just kind of a noob experience for me in terms of evading enemies. Now, there was plenty of times where I was able to capitalize on the mistakes or just kind of the tunnel vision of enemy pilots and take them out. But man, I tell you what, it was a very fun experience, and I'm kind of curious. I was a little disappointed that I didn't get to try it in VR or on the PC. But from my experience on console, it was very, very interesting, and it was in a completely different style of aerial or aerospace combat, you could say, as I have a lot of experience in War Thunder, but I've not played any space Starfighter games. I mean, unless you consider Star Wars Battlefront, which I would not consider on near enough this level of realism or detail, you know. But here we are trying to take the drone, take that satellite, I guess, and by dropping my drones. Do I drop a drone on a drone, or am I dropping a drone on a satellite? I'm fairly certain they are satellites. And my secondary ability right here is this warp drive. But so see that little lead indicator? It was actually kind of funny. When I first started playing, I was having a bit of a rough time. I still managed to get kills, but it was very difficult. And then after 3 or 4 games, one of the developers was like, hey, by the way, if you press this button, it'll open up the lead indicator on the ship that you're locked on. And I was like, this is a fundamental aspect of a game that I would have liked to know a little bit earlier, and I probably would have gotten a few more kills that day. But you can see just kind of the visual impact of an enemy ship tearing me apart right now. It is literally tearing me apart. But basically what you're going to be seeing in this video is kind of what it's like to kind of do a bit of a tug-of-war, where the end goal is to destroy an enemy capital ship and or defend one, depending on how you do in the capture the flag mode. And I think our team was more busy with aerial combat, or aerospace combat, I guess, if we're going to be, what would that be the correct nomenclature to say aerospace? Because it's aerodynamic and spatially dynamic. What are these words? I'm not an engineer. I was an economics major, and then a business master, and then a Juris Doctor. None of these things were covered in any of the classes that I took over those many, many, many years. And here I am being a YouTuber talking to you about a really, really cool space game. Funny how things work out, huh? But anyway, guys, this was a fun event. I thank CCP for the invitation. They are sponsoring this video once again. And basically what's going on with it is it's currently out on Steam, but it's a VR game, and it has an active player base. And basically I think what they're trying to do is, you know, broaden the player base. And I do believe that they said they were going to work on basically cross-platform between VR and non-VR, as well as PC and console, which I think is pretty interesting. And I'm actually kind of curious, like, how they're planning on doing that, because I feel like that's a rather ambitious goal right there. And here we go through the warp gate! But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Baron. I'm just gonna let you just kind of enjoy the rest of the video. We're gonna turn back up the volume now that I'll cut commentary, and just pay attention to the rich visuals and the audio cues, because I've been talking over a lot of it, and that's very important. I was at a very loud event, and I'm ADHD and prone to tunnel vision at times, so a lot of those details were missed on me at the time. But you can see, you know, given the UI and the HUD, basically what's going on. Our carrier is at 50% health right now. Their carrier is at 100% health. You can kind of see what's going to happen, but how many more people am I going to knock out in the glorious defense of this really cool capital ship? By the way, Eve and CCP, I got to make sure I don't say 3 C's, or else, you know, Joseph Stalin will laugh. I would really love to see you combine this game, this style of game, Eve Valkyrie, with Eve Online. Wouldn't that be amazing? Like, if you want to be a capital ship admiral, captain, you can do that. If you want to be a starfighter pilot, you can do that. Squadron leader. I mean, shoot, if you just want to transport supplies, or be a repair ship, or pick up down pilots lost in space, or freaking start a pirate guild in an asteroid field, that wouldn't it? I mean, those are the kind of games that I dream about, and one of the reasons why I would like to be a game developer one day. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up now, enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
barrier. Get back and protect it. Spaceship. Unless you want your clone to melt, protect that core. This around, pilot.